The film begins with a group of criminals interrogating a man. They ask what his last words are, and he responds by attacking them. After defeating them all, he prepares to escape and throws a smoke pellet. But the effect startles him, and he ends up knocking down the studio walls, revealing that it is all just a recording. Colton West is a former movie star trying to return to acting nowadays, but he faces difficulties. He approaches the production to complain, but is told that it is a new technology. The producer interrupts him, saying that he needs to do a scene with insects, but Colton refuses because he finds them disgusting. The producer insists, stating that he has to do it because the director changed the theme of the film. Colton says he needs to leave to take his son to the game. The producer replies that he promised he would not do that anymore. He asks Colton not to walk out the door, because that would mean losing his job. Colton does not listen and decides to leave, and irritated, the producer says that he is out. Colton tries to argue, but the producer does not want to hear it and sends him away. Colton is on his way home when he receives a call from his wife Olivia, who is with their son Peter. She asks where he is and if he forgot about the game, and Colton replies that he did not, saying that he is stuck in traffic. Irritated, Peter says he will go alone, and Olivia tries to calm him down by saying that his father will arrive. Peter replies that he already knows that story and leaves, making Olivia even angrier with Colton. At that moment, she sees a news report about him on TV and discovers that he was cited for assault the previous night. She asks what he got himself into this time, but Colton says he does not know what she is talking about. Suddenly, strong tremors begin. Worried, Colton asks if Olivia is okay, but the call is interrupted. At that moment, powerful volcanic eruptions in the Santa Monica Mountains shake the region, and everyone gets out of their cars. From underground, small creatures are launched outward, awakened by the intense geological activity. Colton runs for his life, but a nearby explosion throws him against a vehicle. When he gets up, he sees lava flowing from the car, and then a mutant spider emerging from it. Terrified, he runs to his own car while other creatures begin to appear and attack people. Colton manages to maneuver the car and takes a dirt road. As he drives away, we see the destruction caused by the creatures in a short time. On the way, he tries to call Olivia, but she does not answer. Meanwhile, Olivia watches television and discovers that Colton was only breaking up a fight. The programming is interrupted by breaking news. The journalist says that the earthquakes are linked to a volcanic eruption in Santa Monica. Suddenly, new tremors interrupt the broadcast. Worried, Olivia packs her things and prepares to leave when Colton appears nervous. She tries to argue with him, but Colton says that none of that matters and states that he is happy she is okay. He starts going upstairs and asks about Peter. Olivia says he went alone to the game. Concerned, Colton asks her to call their son to come back. She continues arguing, and he insists that she call Peter. Olivia replies that he is not answering. Colton starts packing his things, and Olivia says she is going to her kickboxing class. Nervous, he stops her, saying it is not safe to go out because the creatures are out there. Frightened, she asks what is happening. Colton asks if she felt the earthquake, and Olivia replies that she did, stating that it is normal in the region. He says he was on his way home when an eruption happened, and fire spiders appeared everywhere. Irritated, Olivia asks if he started drinking again, but Colton asks her to trust him. He tells her to pack her things and get ready because they are leaving. Then he grabs his weapons. Worried, Olivia asks what he needs that for. Colton replies that he is going to get Peter and tells her to keep trying to call him. Meanwhile, Peter is downtown with his friends Jordan, Elia, and Travis. They prepare to ride their bikes, and before leaving, Travis tells Peter that he likes Jordan and asks him not to ruin everything. Peter tells him not to worry. At that moment, an explosion hits nearby. Military helicopters appear in the sky, and curious, Travis calls the group to check it out. Peter receives a call from his father, but chooses to ignore it and follows the others. At that moment, Colton is on his way when he notices a pool of lava on the road. He stops the vehicle to check it out, and as he approaches, realizes he stepped in a disgusting slime. Suddenly, the car tires explode because of the heat, and Colton decides to abandon it. At the same time, Olivia notices that the house has no power and decides to call her friend Doris. She asks if Doris is also without power, and she confirms that she is. While they talk, Doris does not notice a spider climbing her window. Doris asks if Olivia is okay, and she replies that she is worried about what Colton said. Doris says everything will be fine, but at that moment hears her dogs barking. She asks Olivia to wait and goes to check what is happening, entering the bedroom to look for the animal. She soon finds the dog charred on the floor. Shocked, she wonders what happened. At that moment, the spider appears and spits fire at Doris, melting her face, while Olivia begins to worry about the silence on the other end of the call. Back to Peter. He and his group arrive at the explosion site and discover a hole in the ground. Looking closer, Peter smells gas and suggests that his friends leave. When they try to go away, black smoke appears, bringing the creatures with it. People begin to be attacked, and Jordan is almost taken by one of them, but manages to escape with Peter's help. Then they start a desperate escape from the spiders. Meanwhile, Colton tries to get a ride, but vehicles ignore him and move on. He tries to call someone, and at that moment a tour bus with some fans appears. Colton warns them about the danger. He asks the driver's name, and the man introduces himself as Joe. Colton asks Joe to take him downtown, explaining that he needs to find his son. Joe agrees, but first asks to take a photo. With no options, Colton accepts. He instructs the man to move away and turn the phone sideways. Joe obeys, and Colton takes advantage of the moment to steal the bus and head to find his son. Then he apologizes to the passengers and begins explaining the situation. Colton warns that there are lava spiders everywhere, but his fans believe that it is all part of another movie and even celebrate. Meanwhile, Peter and his friends are surrounded by the creatures until he spots a nearby warehouse. The group runs to take shelter, but Elia tries to perform a maneuver and ends up being killed quickly. Peter almost meets the same fate, however he manages to slip inside in time. During the escape, Travis suffers a burn on his arm, and Peter uses a fire extinguisher to put out the flames. Realizing that Jordan is injured, he tries to help her, but she asks him not to touch the wound. Desperate, she begs to get out of that place, and Peter promises he will get her out. Then he asks Travis to take care of her and goes to get a first aid kit. Worried about Doris, Olivia decides to go to her house. Upon entering, she finds a spider devouring the woman. In panic, she flees, and upon reaching the back of the property, realizes that much of Los Angeles has already been destroyed by the creatures. Meanwhile, Colton and his fans are surprised by spiders on the way and end up confronting them. Colton manages to kill some of them, and the fans celebrate as they continue their journey. In the warehouse, Peter tries to help his friends, but Jordan feels intense pain in her leg. He says they need to find help, or at least go out to get signal, but Travis refuses. At that moment, Jordan asks if they are smelling that odor, and they all look at the door. A spider begins to burn the entrance to invade the place, leaving them desperate. With no choice, Peter and Travis lift Jordan and start running away. On the other hand, Olivia keeps calling her son, but the call goes to voicemail. At that moment, the power returns along with the television, which broadcasts more news about the prehistoric spiders. The journalist reports that the National Guard is already working on the case. Olivia also discovers that Colton stole a bus, but does not have time to process it, because soon a spider appears through the chimney and throws flames at her. Olivia does not give in to fear, grabs a sword and attacks the creature, but the blow has no effect. Then she uses everything she finds to fight it, until she manages to grab a gun and finally kill it. Meanwhile, Colton arrives in the city, and Chris warns him that the blood of the dead spiders is melting the bus. Worried, Colton stops the vehicle and asks everyone to get off. They manage to escape just before the explosion. The destruction of the bus soon becomes news on television, and Colton ends up being treated as a hero. A group of the army arrives to help the civilians and splits up to look for the injured. A team enters Colton's house and encounters a spider, which is eliminated by Olivia. The soldier warns that they need to leave immediately. Meanwhile, in the city, new tremors begin. Colton tells Chris that they need to split up, but asks him to help the civilians first and then meet at the same place. Several spiders begin to emerge from the open crater, and civilians start being attacked and killed. Chris is almost killed by a creature, but Colton appears and manages to kill it. The two start running and soon meet Jack, who offers them a ride. Managing to escape the creatures in time, Colton asks to be taken downtown. In the warehouse, the youths keep running, but Jordan stops halfway because of her injury. Peter removes the bandage to check and realizes the situation is really serious. Travis panics, but Peter manages to calm him down and says he will go to the roof. However, he is stopped by an even larger spider that invades the place, forcing them to flee. Back to Colton, the group needs to avoid lava pits that appear on the road. The vehicle's tires end up being burned, forcing them to stop. Several lava spiders begin to appear, and terrified, the group runs into a museum. They try to barricade the entrance quickly, but realize that it will not hold the creatures, and run again. Chris says they need to find a place to hide, but an unknown man appears saying there is nowhere to hide because the creatures will find them. Colton asks who he is, and the man introduces himself as Dr. Eric von Strubel, stating that he works at the museum. Colton asks what he is doing there, and Eric explains that he is a scientist and needs to do his job. Jack says he will not survive if he stays there, and Eric replies that he is already aware of that. However, he states that he has not finished something yet, leaving everyone intrigued. Eric shows a heat map and explains that Los Angeles is a ticking time bomb. According to him, there is a network of interconnected lava tubes beneath the city, forming a structure identical to that of an insect colony. He states that the Mayans already knew about these creatures and called them lavalantulas. Then he points to a spot on the map and says that the lavalantula queen may be there, a queen spider hidden in a large underground chamber. If she dies, all the others will die as well. New tremors begin, and Colton grabs his weapon. When asked what he intends to do, he replies that he will rescue his son and then have a beer with Chris and Jack. Meanwhile, Olivia, along with other civilians, is being evacuated by soldiers. On the way, one of them receives information that the route is dangerous and asks them to turn back. At that moment, gunshots and screams are heard, and the soldier tells Olivia to hide under a fireproof blanket. She tries to refuse, but a lavalantula appears and starts spitting fire. Even so, Olivia manages to protect herself. In the warehouse, the youths continue surrounded by the creatures. As they move forward, Jordan suddenly stops to vomit, and they realize that the ground is covered in lava. Looking up, they notice that the huge spider has found them. They try to move away slowly, and for a moment the lavalantula seems to ignore them and moves away. However, she suddenly returns and almost hits Peter, forcing the group to run again. The creature manages to catch up with them, but Peter grabs a fire extinguisher and uses it against her. The plan works, the creature ends up dying, and Peter keeps running. Meanwhile, the soldiers continue being attacked and end up killed by the spiders. Olivia remains hidden until one of them starts searching the place for survivors. The creature pierces the fireproof blanket, but when it is about to reach her, Olivia reacts and kills it with a pistol. Then she leaves her hiding place, enters a military vehicle, and informs the army that the soldiers were killed. The man on the other end of the line tells her to leave Los Angeles immediately, but Olivia refuses. Determined to act, she asks for the keys, and he explains that the vehicle works with only 2 buttons. She manages to start it and goes to look for her family. At the factory, Peter and Travis carry Jordan when she begins to feel sick. They lay her on the ground, and Peter asks Travis to get water. However, Jordan does not survive, and soon they notice something moving inside the young woman's body. Frightened, they step back, and suddenly several baby spiders begin to come out of her. Then her body becomes completely charred, and the small spiders start attacking Travis, who soon succumbs and is killed, while Peter flees in despair. He runs to the rooftop and manages to send a message to Colton. Colton receives the message and informs the others of his son's location. At that moment, Jack calls them, saying there is a problem. They notice a huge lavalantula and begin running in despair. The creatures invade the place and start attacking them, while they defend themselves as best they can. During the confrontation, Jack is attacked and killed by the spiders, while the others keep fighting. The giant lavalantula enters the place and faces Colton, who manages to kill her. Then they keep running, manage to leave the museum, and soon after a huge explosion happens there. A helicopter appears to rescue them, and Chris says goodbye to his friend. Dr. Eric gives a copy of the map to Colton and asks him to stay away from the orange areas on the thermal map because they represent the underground lava tubes. After saying goodbye, Colton leaves to find Peter, but ends up being surrounded by lavalantulas on the way. At that moment, Olivia appears and tells him to get into the vehicle. After that, he informs his son's location, and the two head there. On the way, Colton asks how she found him, and Olivia replies that he is in all the newspapers. Meanwhile, Peter manages to go down the stairs, but comes face to face with a spider. He tries to use the extinguisher, but realizes it is empty, and when everything seems lost, his parents appear. Olivia drives the car into the creature, and they manage to get out of the vehicle before the explosion, happy to see their son alive. Peter laments, saying that his friends did not survive, and Colton asks how he managed to survive. Peter replies that he used the fire extinguisher and says that the creatures hate that. Olivia asks if that was really it. Colton explains that the extinguisher contains compressed nitrogen and asks if he has more, but Peter says that was the last one. Colton states that they need to find more nitrogen because that is what will keep them alive. Peter says they need to fight to get out of there, and Colton agrees. Meanwhile, the news shows the terrible situation in Los Angeles, but amid the chaos, several people risk their lives to protect others. Chris appears on TV and says that Colton was a hero for saving him. On the film set, Colton's colleagues watch news about his heroic acts when someone knocks on the door. Amber goes to check and realizes it is Colton, quickly letting them inside. She asks what he is doing there, and he explains that he has a plan. Ernie, a friend of Colton, appears armed and says they are going to try to escape, asking if Colton is coming along. He says they cannot do that, and Olivia adds that the military were killed. They ask what they will do, and Colton picks up a can of nitrogen, saying that it can kill the spiders. Olivia asks if they have more, and the two smile, asking how many they need. Colton pulls out a map, explains his plan, and says he will install C4 inside the liquid nitrogen cans. He will create freezing bombs, which will be thrown into the open craters to freeze and destroy the lavalantula queen in her nest. He adds that a drone with a camera will transmit all the action, as if it were an action movie, allowing Amber to detonate the bombs remotely at the exact moment. With the plan set, they begin putting the project into practice, and before leaving, Colton manages to motivate the people. Ernie and Amber say that bullets would not be enough to attract the queen, that they would need an explosion, and state that they cannot use remote control. Someone will have to do it personally, and with no options, Colton volunteers. With everything ready, he says goodbye to his family and tells his son that they will go to a game when they return. The group split up, go out into the streets and begin throwing the bombs into the craters. After a few hours, almost all of them were launched, but Amber finds herself surrounded by the creatures. She and her team start shooting, but her partner is killed and she runs out of bullets. Amber asks for help, and her colleagues hear over the radio, arriving quickly to rescue her. They manage to eliminate all the creatures, and Colton asks them to install the bombs. Confused, they ask what he is talking about, but Colton simply leaves the place, and they inform the family about it. Colton reaches the rooftop of a building and finds some spiders, but eliminates them easily. He asks his companions if they have already installed the bombs, and upon receiving the answer, asks for them to be detonated. Several explosions echo through the city. Colton removes a suit he used in one of his movies and decides to use it to face the queen. At that moment, the group feels strong tremors, and the huge queen emerges from the ground. She begins advancing toward them, and Ernie wonders where Colton is. Amber tells him to look up, and they realize he is there, wearing the armor. Colton activates the jet of the suit and begins to lure the creature away. As soon as he succeeds, he throws the last bomb at the queen, managing to kill her. Later, firefighters extinguish the fire, and the reporter reports the courage of Colton and his team. Meanwhile, Colton is found by his colleagues, who help him up, and soon his family arrives. They hug him and celebrate the victory against the creatures, ending the film.